Alright, welcome everyone. So in this video, something a little out of the ordinary for this channel, we're going to be using a movie that I watched recently, and I want to talk about the use of color because there were some great examples in this movie called The Drop. It stars Tom Hardy and Numi Rapace, I think. So I usually don't, I watch movies sometimes and notice the use of color, and I've definitely used movies before sort of as inspiration to get palettes and things like this, but in this movie it was a little more obvious to me than some of the others, and just cinematography was beautiful, and there was some really cool examples of how you can use color in your storytelling, and a lot of the same principles apply even in comics. So anyway, we'll just go through a couple of the, I did a couple of screenshots here. And so, you've probably seen me done this in videos before, where you've got something in the foreground or in the background that is actually the focal point. Like in this case, Tom Hardy's character is the focal point of the panel. So to frame it, and this is actually James Gandolfini's, one of his last movies probably. You've got this, his character very red, and the background is very red, kind of all the way around here. So you've got this sort of filling in this side of the panel, and you've got this, it's basically a brown, but still basically a red color, sort of, framing the shot. And so everything here is pretty much cool colors. You've got some blues and very washed out beiges and things like that. So it's kind of a good example of how you can frame up cool colors with warm colors to sort of draw your eye in. Of course, you've got the brighter highlights in here around his head and hands, which I don't think any of this stuff is accidental. The cinematography on this was just, again, really stood out. So I was like, you know what, let me make a video about this. So anyway, let's look at a couple more of these. All right, this one, this is actually when I started paying attention during this scene, because I'm like, I've done this exact thing in panels before. Again, now this time you've got a warm background, but again, your focus, is here. Your focus is on the main characters back here. But you've got this sort of, blue character here in the foreground. Just fill that in really quickly. Same thing over here, blue guy. Again, framing the characters here, And people like to ask, I get questions sometimes, well, what color skin tone should I use for this or that? This is a good example of how almost any color can be a skin tone, whether it's foreground, background. This back here, if I color pick him, it's all oranges and browns. But up here, it's all blues and purples. And I just realized you guys can't see the color wheel. So, blue, gray, purple, if I go back here, it's oranges and browns, same thing. Gandolfini's characters, lots of reds, So just another example of framing. Again, this time we're doing the opposite. We've got cool colors in the foreground for the most part, and then we're looking past that to our main characters back here in the back. And I love this shot. It looks great in the movie. This doesn't really do it justice, but you'll notice that in this, this is a good example of a cool light source with very warm shadows. So you've got this, light blue light coming from up here, but if you look at all these shadow colors, very brown. It's basically a blue and orange complementary scheme here. So, and this can be cliche. There's a lot of movies that kind of use this combination. It just works. So, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Complementary color schemes work for a reason. They look good together. And you can see this ties in pretty well with the color and context video I did in the course. This blue is pretty blue. You know, if I color pick that, it's very blue. But all of this stuff that really kind of reads as orange or a light orange is very gray, you know, but it looks orange against all of that blue light, you know. Another cool scene. This one was a little less obvious. This may have been a bad screenshot. But mainly, again, this character was painted in a blue light, you know, like if you look at the light on the steering wheel and his face, you know, there's a kind of a blue tint to it. I think when I took this shot, he drove past the light, and it's not as obvious, but again, basically you have a blue foreground here set against an orange, orange background. You know, it works. Same thing here. It's even more obvious here. So you've got this definite orange, you know, background happening here, but all of their skin tones are very, very blue, you know, up in the front here, which just picking that color, it almost looks gray, but against that purple, it looks a little bit blue. And these are also complementary schemes tend to be used when there's a lot of tension. And this is a tense scene. I think I've got another example of that in a second. This one was funny to me. In the movie, it's panning across this scene, you know, going this direction. And let me get where you can see this going this way. And you've got all of this yellow, you know, yellowish brown, orange through here. And so you could kind of lose the fact that the lead character, one of the lead characters, is actually right here. But look what they did. They put this big red box, which really sticks out. So when you've got all this stuff going on in the panel and all this yellow, you know, your eye can't help but jump into that red box, and there's your character. So it's sort of drawing your eye in. That's another good example of using color to say, hey, look at this, something important is happening here. So yeah, good example of that. And then lastly, it's really more of just a palette thing here. So this is the climax of the movie, basically. And you've got lots of red being used. I actually took a couple of shots, I think, from this scene. You know, he's being lit with red, and it's good too to study these for things like learning the planes of the face. It's like, especially in this shot, you know, you've definitely got, here's red around here, red here, you know. I mean, that's basically a study of the planes of the face. If the light's coming from here, then there you go. Even the top of his ear is getting, you know, a little bit there. And also throughout this movie, there was a lot of, you would get another light source coming in from the other angle. Now, not necessarily in this scene exactly, but it's an excellent study on, you know, the planes of the face and how light's going to react there. So there's a couple of good examples in this movie for that. You know, again, more red. She's wearing red. Her hair looks red. Really intense scene here. And at the end of the movie, that scene is ended. Now we're in the same exact location, but the tension is really ended. And this is a storytelling thing. You know, now we're in a calm room. He's about to meet some Russian guys, but they're happy with him because of what happened. I won't give you all, they won't give it away if you haven't seen it. But same exact location. It's still nighttime. All the lights are off. You know, that's not again, not an accident. The tension is out of the scene. He's just a guy chilling in his bar here, ready to go home. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, I'll do more of these. If you like, if you want me to stick to coloring comics in Photoshop, I'll do that too. So, if you like the video, click the like button down there. Subscribe if you haven't. And don't forget, I do have a comprehensive coloring course on my website and the description at the bottom below the video. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.